This is part 2 of Chapter 8 of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I began to tell our adventurers, articulating each syllable clearly, and without omitting one single detail. I announced our names and rank, introducing in person Professor Aronnax, his servant Conseil, and Master Ned Land, the harpooner. The man with the soft, calm eyes listened to me, quietly, even politely, and with extreme attention, but nothing in his countenance indicated that he had understood my story. When I finished, he said not a word. There remained one recourse, to speak English. Perhaps they would know this most universal language. I knew it, as well as the German language, well enough to read it fluently, but not to speak it correctly. But anyhow, we must make ourselves understood. Speak your best Anglo-Saxon and try to do better than I. Ned did not beg off and recommended our story. To his great disgust, the harpooner did not seem to have made himself more intelligible than I had. Our visitors did not stir. They evidently understood neither the language of Arago nor of Faraday. Very much embarrassed, after having vainly exhausted our philological resources, I knew not what part to take, when Conseil said, "If master will permit me, I will relate it in German." But in spite of the elegant turns and good accent of the narrator, the German language had no such success. At last, nonplussed, I tried to remember my first lessons and to narrate our adventures in Latin with no better success. This last attempt being of no avail, the two strangers exchanged some words in their unknown language and retired. The door shut. "It is an infamous shame," cried Ned Land, who broke out for the 20th time. "We speak to those rogues in French, English, German, and Latin, and not one of them has the politeness to answer." "Calm yourself," I said to the impetuous Ned. "Anger will do no good." "But do you see, Professor," replied our irascible companion, "that we shall absolutely die of hunger in this iron cage?" "Bah!" cried Conseil philosophically. "We can hold out some time yet." "My friends," I said, "we must not despair. We have been worse off than this. Do me a favor to wait a little before forming an opinion of the commander and crew of this boat." "My opinion is formed," replied Ned sharply. "They are rascals." "Good. And from what country?" "From the land of rogues." "My brave Ned, that country is not clearly indicated on the map of the world, but I'll admit that the nationality of the two strangers is hard to determine. Neither English, French, nor German, that is quite certain. However, I am inclined to think that the commander and his companion were born in low latitudes. There is southern blood in them, but I cannot decide by their appearance whether they are Spaniards, Turks, Arabians, or Indians. As to their language, it is quite incomprehensible." "There is the disadvantage of not knowing all languages," said Conseil, "or the disadvantage of not having one universal language." As he said those words, a door opened. A steward entered. He brought us clothes, coats, and trousers made of stuff I do not know. I hastened to dress myself, and my companions followed my example. During that time, the steward, dumb and perhaps deaf, had arranged the table and laid 3 plates. "This is something like," said Conseil. "Bah!" said the rancorous harpooner. "What do you suppose they eat here? Tortoise liver, filleted shark, and beef steaks from sea dogs?" "We shall see," said Conseil. The dishes of bell metal were placed on the table, and we took our places. Undoubtedly, we had to do with civilized people, and had it not been for the electric light which flooded us, I could have fancied I was in the dining room of the Adelphi Hotel at Liverpool, or the Grand Hotel in Paris. I must say, however, that there was neither bread nor wine. The water was fresh and clear, but it was water, and did not suit Ned Land's taste. Among the dishes which were brought to us, I recognized several fish delicately dressed, but of some, although excellent, I could give no opinion, neither could I tell what kingdom they belonged to, whether animal or vegetable. As to the dinner service, it was elegant and in perfect taste. Each utensil, spoon, fork, knife, plate had a letter engraved on it with a motto above it, of which this is an exact facsimile: Mobilis in mobili N. The letter N was no doubt the initial of the name of the enigmatical person who commanded the bottom of the seas. Ned and Conseil did not reflect much. They devoured the food, and I did likewise. I was besides reassured as to our fate, and it seemed evident that our hosts would not let us die of want. However, everything has an end, everything passes away, even the hunger of people who have not eaten for 15 hours. Our appetites satisfied, we felt overcome with sleep. "Faith, I shall sleep well," said Conseil. "So shall I," replied Ned Land. My two companions stretched themselves on the cabin carpet and were soon sound asleep. For my own part, too many thoughts crowded my brain, too many insoluble questions pressed upon me, too many fancies kept my eyes half open. Where were we? What strange power carried us on? I felt, or rather fancied I felt, the machine sinking down to the lowest beds of the sea. Dreadful nightmares beset me. I saw in these mysterious asylums a world of unknown animals, among which this submarine boat seemed to be of the same kind, living, moving, and formidable as they. Then my brain grew calmer. My imagination wandered into vague unconsciousness, and I soon fell into a deep sleep. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back with Chapter 9 tomorrow.